So we're joined by Philip Skuman in studio. He's the broker and owner of REMAX. Morning, Philip. Are you good?
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me, as always.
Always a pleasure to have you here. Now, Philip, if I'm in the process of buying a house for the very first time, at what point, and I want to engage housing, incentives or subsidy, at what point in this whole process do I start? Is it doing my research right at the beginning and applying, or is it when I've already gone to the bank, or is it something with the bank? Like, how does it work?
No, you start at inception from the very beginning. If you're a first-time buyer, I would suggest go online and research a little bit.
Okay.
But you'll find more accurate and detailed information from a knowledgeable practicing real estate agent.
Okay.
And I have to say this at this point, don't just speak to your banker, because the private bankers all have targets to place loans, but they don't necessarily specialize in them. And they will want not to necessarily give other banks the option. They want to secure the loan for themselves. So you got to speak to somebody independent that cares about you actually getting a loan, not which loan.
Oh, so talking about that, a loan, not which loan. What kind of subsidies are available out there? Because sometimes we hear about these government-funded ones or from the private sector. So where should I be leaning towards?
So let's differentiate between subsidy and home loan incentives from the banks.
Mm-hmm.
Subsidy we've spoken of, which the only real one actually is FLISP, and we've spoken about that a while back. So we'll touch on that too. But from a subsidy, from a incentive point of view, it's a value offering that the banks put forward so that it makes it easier for first-time home buyers to acquire a loan and a property.
Okay.
Now, the way they do this, or how the incentives look for the vast majority of time, is just cost-inclusive structures. So you want to buy a R1 million house, but you don't have the 60 or 70 grand transfer fees, or So they would look at including that then, and you need to stipulate this from the start, because it's core compliant. So they won't finance your costs if you just qualified for 1M. They're not going to add on top, because that's going to throw you out of affordability, out of whack. But let's say that you have now, it's codependent. You've secured the loan at $1 million, and your costs are included. Some banks will give you. Well, they all differ in what differences are in small fractions, but it all comes down to your costs are included.
Sure.
Now, one of the funny things is that obviously, if you now ask for your costs to be included, is that your interest rate will jump up quite excessively sometimes. But it's still important to note that this is the cheapest form of financing your costs. Secondly, if you take your costs financed by a credit card or a personal loan, it might throw your affordability out of whack for your home loan in the first place. So even though it might push your interest rate up a little bit and make it more expensive, it's still worthwhile over time to finance your costs in, and obviously makes it a lot easier for clients to acquire. Now, the four commercial banks are all similar in this. I'm talking Standard, Absa, FNB, Nedbank.
Okay.
Now, I did see SA Home Loans has an interesting package. So, you've got your standard 20-year and your standard 30-year loan, okay, based on age and affordability. But SA Home Loans, I've seen, has an interesting package. It's called Edge, and it's a 23-year bond.
Okay.
But the first 3 years of your bond, you only pay the interest portion of your loan.
Oh.
And then it kicks up to paying the full loan and interest. So that is, call it 3 years breathing space, which is quite a good incentive as well. I've not seen this from any of the other banks. Investec, on the other hand, they would rather select the client first. They first decide, I want to do business with Info.
Yes.
I want to do business with DJ Complexion. I want these things.
Yeah.
And then based on your salary after that, they'll, okay. If you're just a normal businessman trying to apply to Investec, you need about 180K per month. That's a lot of time. Most people are not there, but you could also be an attorney earning 20. They'll take you. Or an architect earning 15, they'll take you because of your professional qualification. And all of the banks look at this as well. They love the fact that you're a young professional, a qualified young professional, because it shows them a trajectory of where you might end up, and it makes the investment safe.
And commitment as well.
Commitment. Well, you had the fortitude to finish your degree in the first place. So it tells me you're going to probably finish your bond.
Yeah.
It says something about the person.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, Philip, what can you say to first-time home buyers that are thinking of, entertaining a subsidy as an alternative?
So, firstly, I would say get in touch with your real estate agent. And then I would say don't stop there, because even though you might have a very knowledgeable real estate agent, he or she might not be abreast with all the different packages.
Okay.
And what most clients err in, the error that they make, most first-time home buyers, is they want to ease the process, so they just apply to one bank. We don't even do that when we buy plane tickets. We shop from everywhere. And, that's a 12 grand or a 5 grand expense. We're talking a R1 million expense with the capacity to, and different interest rates can cause you like a 1 or a 2% difference, can cause 170,000 rand difference over time. That's a lot of time.
It is.
So I would definitely suggest doing a lot of research and applying to all the banks. Every single institution that will take you apply to. Whether it's Resima or whatever. The chances are just that the commercial banks will be first, because we've spoken about this, and that the seller will also accept your offer.
No, definitely, Philip. Thank you so much. That's Philip Skuman, broker and owner of REMAX.
Thanks, guys.